One other point that came out of the hearing today was I used the expression prejudice on parade, Mueller's prejudice on parade. I want to play a clip, have the wonderful Matt, the producer, play a clip. This is by another, Texas was good today. John Ratcliffe, great set of questions he asked Mueller in the House Judiciary Committee. Here you go, John Ratcliffe.
All right, now in explaining that special counsel did not make what you called a traditional prosecution or declination decision, the report on the bottom of page 2 of volume 2 reads as follows. The evidence we obtained about the president's actions and intent presents difficult issues that prevent us from conclusively determining that no criminal conduct occurred. Accordingly, while this report does not conclude that the president committed a crime, it also does not exonerate him. You said at all times the special counsel team operated under, was guided by, and followed Justice Department policies and principles. So which DOJ policy or principle sets forth a legal standard that an investigated person is not exonerated if their innocence from criminal conduct is not conclusively determined?
Can you repeat the last part of that question?
Yeah. Which DOJ policy or principle set forth a legal standard that an investigated person is not exonerated if their innocence from criminal conduct is not conclusively determined? Where does that language come from, Director? Where is the DOJ policy that says that? Let me make it easier.
Go ahead.
Can you give me an example other than Donald Trump where the Justice Department determined that an investigated person was not exonerated because their innocence was not conclusively determined?
I cannot, but this is a unique situation.
Okay, well, you can't. Time is short. I've got 5 minutes. Let's just leave it at you can't find it because I'll tell you why. It doesn't exist. The special counsel's job, nowhere does it say that you were to conclusively determine Donald Trump's innocence or that the special counsel report should determine whether or not to exonerate him. It's not in any of the documents. It's not in your appointment order. It's not in the special counsel regulations. It's not in the OLC opinions. It's not in the Justice Manual, and it's not in the principles of federal prosecution. Nowhere do those words appear together because respectfully, Director, it was not the special counsel's job to conclusively determine Donald Trump's innocence or to exonerate him, because the bedrock principle of our justice system is a presumption of innocence. It exists for everyone. Everyone is entitled to it, including sitting presidents. And because there is a presumption of innocence, prosecutors never, ever need to conclusively determine it. Now, Director, the special counsel applied this inverted burden of proof that I can't find and you said doesn't exist anywhere in the department policies, and you used it to write a report. And the very first line of your report, says, and as you read this morning, it authorizes the special counsel to provide the Attorney General with a confidential report explaining the prosecution or declination decisions reached by the special counsel. That's the very first word of your report, right?
That's correct.
Here's the problem, Director. The special counsel didn't do that. On volume 1, you did. On volume 2, with respect to potential obstruction of justice, the special counsel made neither a prosecution decision or a declination decision. You made no decision. You told us this morning and in your report that you made no determination. So respectfully, Director, you didn't follow the special counsel regulations. It clearly says, write a confidential report about decisions reached. Nowhere in here does it say, write a report about decisions that weren't reached. You wrote 180 pages about decisions that weren't reached, about potential crimes that weren't charged or decided. And respectfully, by doing that, you managed to violate every principle and the most sacred of traditions about prosecutors not offering extra prosecutorial analysis about potential crimes that aren't charged.
Folks, that was among the most important points of the entire hearing this morning. Among the most important, and I'm going to run out of time here, so I'm going to come back and talk more about that tomorrow. But in summary, what Congressman Ratcliffe is saying to Mueller is, to Investigator Mueller, and with respect to his report, is you shifted the burden of proof. In America, every individual is entitled to the presumption of innocence. The prosecutor has to start every case with the person, recognizing the person being investigated has a presumption of innocence. What he really was doing there, what Congressman Ratcliffe did, was to call out Mueller's stunt in this volume 2 of his report, where he addressed the allegations called whether or not President Trump obstructed justice, threw out, it was like throwing, garbage against the wall and see what will stick, throwing out a bunch of things and saying, well, maybe this, but I can't reach a conclusion, maybe that. His job was to investigate and decide whether or not something should be prosecuted or whether he had to decline to prosecute. Instead, Mueller chose the tact of throwing junk out there in that second volume of the Mueller report, inviting Congress to engage in impeachment. Because, he is exactly right. Ratcliffe is exactly right. What Mueller did is a grotesque violation of the concept of the presumption of innocence, shifting the burden to Trump to have to somehow say, no, I know he's saying all these things, and he couldn't reach a conclusion in any of them. But somehow it leaves in the mind's eye that Trump really was not innocent, even though that is what the conclusion should have been from the prosecutor was there's no basis to prosecute this. If there was a basis to prosecute alleged obstruction of justice, then Mueller should have done it. He didn't have it. Instead of just saying, I don't have it, I'm done, he chose the smarmy method of trying to entice Congress to engage in an investigation related to impeachment.